been a crazy. I think the month of March is,
Yes.
going into April, it's been quite crazy.
Very
There's a
crazy.
lot that's been happening. Now I'm
Mm.
flu, and ifumane flu.
Yes.
Umaya now I had to take her last week to go kwagqirha for a flu.
Yeah.
So she was booked off on Thursday and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's still doing that.
Okay.
And then quite a lot of things that happened, ladies and gentlemen. And
Yes.
Leo Yeski, like, I don't want to go there. I was really writing on Friday, and I don't know if I'm gonna get another chance, but I was terrible.
Let's pray
I
that you
was
get another
yeah,
chance.
I was really terrible, Spokie.
But there's an assignment that I submitted 30 minutes late. So I don't think that one is going to be marked unless by the grace of God.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of maybe DPI and this Ibamba, but
for the I got a DP.
yes.
It was ngamangcesta like Monday. I didn't think I was gonna make it, but 51% on the dot, and then I got into the exam, and then I fumbled. You know what it is? It's also the thing of you're not strategic, so you look for your easy ones, your easy wins.
Yes.
Easy wins. But didn't consider the time. So I spent so much time on the easy wins, like
you forgot about the rest.
$20 or $20 is like I did that, and then by the time I have to do other $20 and above Tulula. Time was like against
gone,
big time.
Yeah.
So I think that also hit me, the strategy, but also the other thing is project management is mostly concept based.
Yes, it is.
I understand the concepts, but I didn't have enough time to actually drum them in my mind, so that when I come across, so I can explain the concept. If I see the word and what it means, it's easy to actually break it down. But to conjure it up in Ngondo, what is this? The concept in the process. Easy to so it was like I
think it goes back to what my partner was saying beginning of the year. In fact, last year when he was doing his masters, and it was like, hey, to be honest, books when your mind is still fresh. And you don't have kids, you probably just started working. So everything is about you. So that time, it's when you should be polishing everything that has to do with education.
I'm telling you,
unless you're doing your second and your third degree. But if first, like your first qualification, you go all the way with it. And then go maybe when you are finishing your second, maybe whatever degree, then you can start a family and stuff. But once you start a family, you are driving, like you are pushing for promotions and all those things, and I'm like, like right now, the simple things that I would be so like on point with, and I'm struggling, and I'm like why? But I mean, someone like into the internet and the impact of social media, and you're like, there's a lot that you can say, but in and I'm not the one that wants to use AI as well. I just want to have my own interpretation.
That's
because once I look at those things, when they're becoming too technical and too in depth. They are not a natural simplification explanation that your own natural mind comes up with. No,
I'm also like that. I didn't even go there. Even in my assignment when I was doing it, I didn't touch anything AI related. I like my natural inclination towards unpacking concepts and all of that. And I think that's another thing for me with project management, the one I did, because project management is something that I've come along it in my work, in terms of there are many things. I mean, like you opening a new store completely, that's a project, because you first have to do the feasibility look where you
Yes.
can, and you need to do the whole sort of proposal in terms of the feasibility study, and that's project management. And then eventually, when there's an agreed budget and time and dates and all of that, then you break down again, how are you going to start the store, the suppliers and all of those things. So all of that I've been doing it, but it's never been in a format of a book. So
Yes.
I know the things for me that I even mentally that I really skew on and enjoy, like HR, that's my go-to. I skew on those things. The labor law and all of those things, I skew on those things. Those things are quite nice. It's easy for the mind to actually go and open it up. So I think project management, in terms of what it was,
Yes.
it was quite tough. My mind took some time to actually grasp the concepts and all of that. It didn't come as natural as I was doing it.
Yes.
It's like doing something okayela ubukade uyenza, but ngoku ibizwe inikwe some formal sort of wording and into a breakdown, and that's the science, I think, of project management. It's just that, because it's not something that is new, but it's just telling you that Spokie uplana imgidi nendone. That's project management.
It's project management. Anything that you have to plan.
Yeah, because it's a short term. Those are some of the descriptions. It's a short term thing. It has to be done with an end goal and all of that. I mean, we do that on a daily basis. But
format it now into
what are the sort of project scope, talk about the project scope and all of that. That got it. I can go for the China, I don't see you for so
I think it's more like given a scenario, then you apply what you would normally do. Anything. But that inclination, to actually put it on paper.
And also name it.
Exactly.
It's the management initiation phase and all of these things. You
exactly.
We don't. Those things are natural, yes. But okay, so what are the first steps? Iphala sihambe siyothatha umzimba usiwe elantini. It claims ngoku these days, for instance, you have to be careful now, even these days, to actually run kwa Home Affairs, because linked ngoku to banks.
No, they are.
Once ngoku kuthiwe ulungelo uswelekile, you go to Home Affairs. Whatever monies I have in that account, for the initial phase, you can't access them.
I was lucky. I accessed everything. Everything.
Wow. You can access them without, unless
I had PIN, and then I also have not power of authority.
It's a letter of authority from the from the court.
No, not that one. But
not the power of attorney.
Your power of attorney, but it's the one that you go to, and then they you sign.
Oh
I used to work in the bank, but I forgot about that. So I luckily we did that while my mom was still responsive. So I did everything, and but obviously it claims is on, because I remember they were asking if I can still access, because normally abantu they don't, like you had mentioned. So I said no, I've got in I don't know, it's like at the tip of my tongue. I've got Lando to access the account, because I've been nominated to do that. And then Gengoku, so they're like, okay, fine. Her portion from Ilanduza, then they'll pay it into that account, and
then you'll be able to access. No, those things. I mean, the Home Affairs is actually quite up there now. So once you go, if Uksekoni Males corner in that account, for you to access them, First, go and make sure you draw all of that money so that, or transfer it elsewhere, so that nizokwazi ukwenza izinto zangoku kusanda kwenziwa announcement.
Because those things, but I must say, funeral, whatever the policy, the insurance policies, they pay out quite quickly.
Yeah, no,
they do because I know
it's a competition.
Yeah, it's a competition because within 24 hours I had paid for majority of the stuff for the burial. And like everything, the coffin, like the whole thing that they needed.
No, it's competition because remember, the more people talk about a certain company being able to actually do it much quicker and faster, the more people actually go into that particular company and to associate with that. But yeah, we were just talking about that, guys. So the time is now 3:27. Of course, I mean, I can't not, also talk about what we played. Of course, I mean, Letambuli, Not Yet Uhuru, Heather Headley, Always Been Your Girl. That song is one of my favorites. It's just I like what she's saying in that particular song in terms of always been your girl. So whether or not Wambu Pitizel, and there are people who are fortunate enough to have that type of relationship. I wouldn't say fortunate, but people who will tell you no matter where you go and you always come back to them and you find them waiting for you. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
I really don't know what that is. But
is it what is it called? I don't for some reason I libala the English term la jikelele ngqo.
Yeah. It is a jikelele ngqo, but I think the beauty for me about it when I spoke is that when there's that recognition, because some people, they stretch it, I think. Yeah. Maybe in the beginning, you may not also have known upachaz, but ubuyele kulo muntu, ufike lo muntu akwamkele with open arms. I think that there has to be a time where you then, feel like, no, this person is the person, because sometimes those people, they wait so long and wait by the time of unukuza someone else afike
by cash no credit.
And this is where I think it becomes a problem when
but
you want to interfere.
Like at what point do you get tired of welcoming this person back? Because if they leave once and then they come back the second time, okay, fine, it was a mistake or it was growing up. But when they leave the second time, the third time, the fourth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. But
even time it's like 10 years, you've lost contact, and then you'll be like, now you didn't. Yes, that makes sense to me. But you cannot go out and come back. Maybe the first time I'll say, you know what? Yeah, I think we were too into it, and the timing was like, you'll find, some explanation, that will be suitable for that,
for whatever it is.
For whatever it is. But umntu ngokwesibini ayodibana nomnye umuntu mhlamba adachate and then aphinde abuya benjelani in the first place. I'm sorry, I will never play second fiddle. But if we had dated maybe 20 years ago, and we lost contact, and then we bump into each other and we both single, and there's still that spark, and we kind of, we gravitate towards one another, then for me, I'll accept. But if uzohamba athi umuntu yo kuneni baqhuba from evarsity kaloku uvusi okoko wayesenza lento yakhe wamshiya uSpokie, don't know, imagine it's our wedding noma unjeka yi7.
No, I think when I Spokie, look, I think I hear you, Spokie, and I think for me there definitely is no justification for anyone to actually play around like that, but but what I think is that some people have that type of what's the word I'm looking for, of belief that they are meant to be with so and so, that even the character and the nature of their on and off type of thing for that particular person, particularly most of the time, unfortunately, it's women.
Yeah.
It is characterized by that belief that I'm an
yes.
So where for me, I think it becomes mostly problematic is that now you find someone along the way who is there, who goes all out for you, you know, who treats you like the world. You mean the world to them, and then that scaramanga, la malala pipe. Once article na le indo unayo apa na lona ufumansba, it's in tatters because of la malala pipe, and that's where for me I have problems, and unfortunately. Those malala pipes, they do have that type of sway, you know.
Yeah, no, they do. They
yeah,
do.
how
do.
I don't know, but
I know about Ipala.
Yeah, they do have that type of sway where but for them, when they are in the picture, then it's like you know, everything is falls off place in
sometimes you know, a friend of mine always says funeka uyazi i-destination yakho, akufunekanga uthi sowufikile ku-destination uyimoshe, you know, because such things nyani, it's when you don't know i-destination yakho, but like you know the type of person that you want to be with. Everyone knows who they want to be with. The type of it might not necessarily be nokanye wena Lester, you understand, but as the deep down ubani ngumntu wam, you know, it's the person that you know, even if you go through challenges, you know, but you know bana, at the end of the day I don't have second thoughts or I feel insecure, or I feel threatened, or well, once they drive out of the house, you know, because I heard this and I heard that, because people, they stick around knowing that like it's a second long weekend now. Abanye beduke bathi bawubethelele uYesu nabo. So there's a lot, you know, like there's things that you observe. Hey, because I always say, let's not generalize them. You know, it's like our bodies, we cannot all have the same body shape. That's just about fit song. We're not gonna have a six-pack song. So we'll be like, hey, you know, like sometimes you observe from it as well, but watch it. You know, there's certain things, but you know, at the end of the day, if you feel malala, and you grandy, stick to that, but don't cry.
Yeah, I think really, I mean, it's about also being able to recognize, you know, when the real thing is in front of you.
Precisely.
And if you recognize it and then make up your mind whether you want to run with this or not, you know. But don't put people in limbo all the time. And it goes both ways. I mean, guys and girls, they have to actually, particularly, I think also maybe, you know, for us as Spokie, we speak from a position of experience of being old and all of that. Maybe a lot of people who are maybe watching us are thinking, so whatever they are saying is premised by that, you know. So whatever people may think of that, you know, it's quite important, I think, that at some point in your life, you find a way of, whether you are starting now in a relationship, especially maybe you are in your early 20s and all of that, you are now in this relationship that you feel like it's becoming serious and all of that, you know, and find out what you want out of it, you know, whether or not both of you guys feel like, you know, this is the thing, you know, because you know, these days, I mean, some of these youngsters really, they start very early, from high school, university. Right now, their relationships that people feel like, which I think for me, it's actually a good thing, you know. Because this thing of experiencing before you actually commit, it's nonsense, you know.
No, it's nonsense,
it's really nonsense.
but I always say, don't skip stages in life. For instance, if we're at a stage of going out and like as in having fun, like for entertainment purposes, like going to a club and going on those trips in Jinjay as a random because you don't have a responsibility. You know, you don't have kids yet. You are focusing on yourself. Do those things because as if no basikilane guys, a club ne 60-year-olds, you know, because someone skipped a stage because they were chasing the money then. Because one thing I've noticed, I think mostly with the older professionals, maybe if I can put it like that, or just the old school, there are people that never really did Lendotina that we did when we were 20s, where you would go out, come back and go fix in and still manage to go to work. And you find that umdo ukala upapa mhlambi in their early 30s, when you are supposed to be, you know, cooling down, you know.
It's strange, Spokie. I mean,
and I don't know, maybe it's partly, it's 50-50 in the sense that it's skip stage plus midlife crisis. Because there are people that from observer, wants to go out all the time. And then when you trace back, if I man shame, so that's why kungona serious we're tired, we did the whole shebang, you know, but we go as a stage midlife crisis whereby but all we know is that Lom still looking at plans for a weekend, and I can understand why you are still listening to the old school music. Remember, umamela piano in the house, and there are people that I'll observe, maybe like, you know, more especially in a social setting, but I know it's a you know, but you know, because it get down back in the 90s, but now okay.
It's I mean, Spokie, this thing we today, I think is quite real, but also at the same time, I think it depends on the type of people that you are. But it's really in the midlife crisis where people suddenly want to go and do things that they thought that, you know, basketball stage. But I may be one of those people who skipped a lot of stages because I never understood the idea of clubbing. You know, it's never been a thing for me. The whole thing about you know, perhaps part of it is because so most of the time we've been in the church space. But even when I remember when I was in PE, I mean, I was in my 20s as Dwana zangofika pha kum ndandiphangela nazo zifika apha kulaa ndawo ndihlala kuzihambe ziyojokwa phaa eClub Central and all of that, you know, and it's never been my sin, you know. Njengoba ziphuma zona on a Fridays kwi-clubs, mna ndiyothatha ii-movies ezinqwaba phaa ndibukele movies. So I think ultimately the most important aspect I'm trying to put on the table is that whether in your early 20s and whatever, you're going all out and all of that jazz, whatever it is that you do, we never, Tina, got to be fortunate enough, like some of our young kids who then put through these stages, you know, in terms of discussions. Tina Sangaba Bazali, who are able to talk about these sort of innuendos and changes, you know, in life. Because my Abazali, I mean, I never would have known, you know, kwa eza zinto zoba ebantwaneni uthi umntana I love you. I mean, zizinto zethu zange time and I mean, even the old lady, when the old lady was saying it, I mean, here up ago 2000 when she started saying this thing, it was kind of, I didn't know what to say back, you know. And I'm the I mean, it's just never there, you know. So we come from that type of background and sort of growing up, and I think our youngsters now who are actually seemingly enjoying life, I think what becomes most important is the world now, guys, is much crazier than what it was
it is.
then,
It is.
There's quite a lot of things that are happening nowadays. You even think about when your daughter goes to university, the people that she may think are her friends in this day and age, you never know, you could be roofied by one of your friends.
That is the thing. There's a lot.
It's quite dangerous.
No, it's dangerous, but I mean, talking about that in our times, because I think Tina were a bunch of first years that were 17 going into 18 when they started, tertiary. And kufika kwetu Durban, there was this thing of a Jack roller. And it was predominantly targeted at amantombazana amaXhosa. And there was one incident that had happened whereby this lady was Jack rolled ehamba nomntu wakhe, and they did whatever they wanted to do with her, and then they asked her ukuthi must we drop you off pa emntwini wakho, and obviously because bebehlalisana, so that was the first place that she was familiar with, so we were in that era whereby it was basically you're being abducted. So now if for instance ungumntu that isn't street smart, you don't go by yourself to a mall. You don't walk by yourself to the campus if you're staying, if your residence is off campus. Jonga, for instance, my res was an only girls res, and it distance from a campus it was from the stop sign going in Strato school so to up. So it was a short distance in a way, but still then you didn't want to be walking by yourself. So even if you're walking by yourself, Ugote, you must walk with Strato busy so that at least there's some sort of a witness in a way. You can't use the side road whereby you just in between the houses because no one will really see you. So
but also, I mean, Spokie, I think everyone would agree that the 90s were kind of different because
they were.
I'm sure, even you as girls then, you kind of had each other's back.
Yes.
You could the idea about ukhulelensane and also knowing these things. Guys, when you have people who are close to you, then you look after each other. Now in amaXhosa, and then that's also a fact sometimes that works, that the nationalities or in terms of the groupings South Africa, you may then find ukuthi babantu actually have got my back, because omnye suke KZN awumazi their perceptions they have about AmaZulu and amaXhosa may not like amaXhosa for whatever reason it was, So it's kind of a really, really tough kind of an environment that requires being street smart and also being very aware of who and you have around you and where you are and sort of the environment in which now you find yourself, so that all the time you're pretty well averse as to how you're going to react. So I think guys, it's conversations that we're gonna have at some stage.
Maybe it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while.
Very soon. But I must say that the transitions as they happen, really Amanomaya are two different sort of kids. But the transitions, nonetheless, when it comes to girls, are the same. The pressure from other girls and sort of the ingati Lando, it's more on girls, the peer pressure and all of that than it is on boys. Boys can still hold their own and be individualistic even in circles where
Yes.
you know amanye amajita aphuma le direction.
Mm.
But girls, there's the grouping is quite different. I
Mm.
don't know what your experience was, but we're gonna go on a
Yeah.
break. Let's do some music. Time now is 3:45.
Yes.
We really got into that one.
No, we did.
The other song that we played, Music Soul Child, Half Crazy, is also a song I love very much. But now I'm going to take you guys to Billy Ocean, and we'll do a triple play.
Yes.
Rose, and that will be followed by Changing Faces, Stroke You Up, and then One Man Woman.
Yes. And we should also talk on that Shannon Sharp thing. We have to talk about it at some point.
No, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think after the news.
We'll do that. Let's do the music, ladies and gentlemen.